I believe we are live. So what I'm going to do for these beginner jams is I'm going to use my new beginner songbook. Oh good, I already see John joining us from Lower Early England. Thanks for joining us, John. It's very exciting to be doing this for the first time. As some people who may watch this video later might not know, I've been doing these play-along jams on Zoom primarily for over a year now, but I haven't done any live on YouTube, so I decided to throw that into the mix and then leave the video up for people to watch and play along later. I have created a beginner songbook based on my mixed level songbook that I've been using in the other play-alongs, but I wanted to do something that was especially for beginners, and of course people who are more advanced can play these songs too and customize them to fit you. But as I talk through some of the playing techniques or approaches to the song today, it'll be much more beginner focused than those mixed level play-alongs have been. So John and Karen and anyone else who joins us while we're live, you can feel free to request songs in the chat or just let me know if you're on Zoom what you would like to play, and we'll play some requests. But I am going to, even if you see a song sheet in this packet that looks like it's a more intermediate song in terms of the arrangement, the strumming, or the picking pattern, we're going to approach it from a beginner point of view and make sure that it's playable to all. And just in general, what I'll say about that too is that you can always just single strum in a song, or if you're focusing on a strumming pattern, you can, mute your strings by just loosely putting your fingers around them and just work on your strumming rhythms and not even play any chords at all and sing along. But there's usually a way to step it down if you feel like you're a little bit over your head. Never feel like you have to do the exact same strumming pattern as everyone around you. Whatever you're able to do to sort of feel like it's approachable for you is going to be fine, especially when you're in a larger group. I know here you're only going to be able to hear me, but when you're in a jam group, you'll have even a little more freedom to sort of see what works for you in the moment. Or, I mean, you have that freedom now. You just won't be able to hear it with a whole group of people playing. So let me share on the screen the songbook that I put together. It is, again, based on my other play-along songbook, but it will contain some extra songs as well, and I've pulled out the songs with harder chords. So here is the songbook table of contents. Oh, great, I see Simon and Jane. Very nice to see you. We've been in some Cynthia Lynn jams together. So I have some Cynthia Lynn arrangements in this packet as well as arrangements of my own. All of Cynthia's arrangements are available public, usually on her Gumroad site, and she encourages people just to put in $0 for the amount they're paying for those, so you can grab them for free if you like any of these. And of course mine are up on my website, which is New Uke, New York. Any requests to start us off? Maybe I'll just start us off with the very first song in the packet, and then we'll take some requests after that if anyone has any. And this song is a nice folk song. It is one of those songs that is well known by a lot of people, so I thought it would be a nice one to start off with. And while there are a handful of chords in it, most of them are chords that beginners are learning pretty quickly. The E minor chord might elude some people, in which case you can always not play or just play a single strum for the E minor. And I would also like to note that while it shows here on this chord sheet a 4-finger E minor, you can just as easily play the E minor with 3 fingers. You can leave that G string open. I have a low G, but it'll work on high G too. To leave your G string open and just play the other 3 notes, and that is also an E minor chord. So there's lots of suggested strums and picking patterns, but we're going to again approach this from the most beginner-friendly way, at least the way that I'm playing it. Oh great, Simon, I see your request for Orphan Girl. We'll definitely do that one. That's a great song. But I'm going to suggest for a nice, easy strum is those of you who are locked into island strum, and that strum works best for you, which is the down, down, up, down, up, can do that. But I'm going to suggest an even simpler strum, especially for people who may not know island strum yet, which is just to do down, down, up, down, down, up. I'm on the C chord now. Of course, if you're more advanced than this or you want to try something else, you should feel free to, but that's what I'm going to strum this one as. You can skip those special chords unless you're a more advanced player. You don't need to play the slash chords. And we'll just play this one. Oh good, we've got Rick joining us on Zoom. We're going to play this. Pretty much each chord is going to have at least 2 of these down, down ups, but when we get to the bolded chords, like in the third line, you can hear the whistle blow. That's going to move a little faster. Blow and 100, the E minor and the F. We'll just do one down, down, up for those chords. Hey, Rick, nice to see you. All right, so let's just give this one a try. It doesn't move too fast, which is another thing that's nice for beginners. We start on this C chord. I'm just finding a nice pace for us now. 1, 2, and here's the intro. We'll do 2 of these down, down ups. Now switch to your A minor. Now D minor. Now F. We'll continue through the intro. And we're going to end with a C single strum. If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. And again, when you see that S/C, you can just play F. Lord, I'm 1. Lord, I'm 2. Lord, I'm 3. Lord, I'm 4. Lord, I'm 500 miles from my home. 500 miles, 500 miles, 500 miles, 500 miles. Lord, I'm 500 miles from my home. Not a shirt on my back, not a penny to my name. Lord, I can't go home this away, this away, this away, this away, this away. Lord, I can't go home this away. If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. All right, feel good? All right, and we have, if anybody has questions, of course, feel free to put them in the chat or let me know if you're in the Zoom. I'm happy to answer questions, but we'll just keep playing songs otherwise. And don't let me move on too quickly. If you have a question and you're still typing, I'll come back to this. But I'm going to go ahead and scroll to Simon's request here, or Simon and Jane requested Orphan Girl, which is a lovely song that sounds much older than it is. Gillian Welch wrote this one. It's from 1996, but it sounds like a song from about the era of 500 Miles, for example. And this is another one that I'm going to do with that same strum. So it's actually a great one for us to do next. And if you are a more advanced player, again, there's some other options there for picking and strumming that you can do. But we're just going to do the down, down, up strum again for this one. And it's one that if you don't know, I think you will start to pick it up because it repeats each verse. We will go ahead and play these instrumental verses that happen, and I'll just note that you're going to skip the third line each time we play an instrumental verse, as is written there. So you'll play the, for example, in the first stanza, if you're looking at the chords, you'll play all the way through, I'm an orphan on God's highway, but I'll share my troubles if you go my way. And then you'll skip down to the bottom line, I am an orphan girl. And again, here we have two chords that move faster, the G and the D that are bolded on the last line of each verse. I think, other than that, it's a pretty straightforward song. And it does, again, does not go super fast. So we'll do this one in a nice, easy tempo again. Let's see. Let's start about this tempo. 1, 2, and we'll do the intro first. So 2 of these, and we'll do it 8. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I am an orphan on God's highway, but I'll share my troubles if you go my way. I have no mother, no father, these are a little longer, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. I have had friendships, pure and golden, but the ties of kinship I have not known them. I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. Here we go with the verse. Here's the D. G. Remember to skip that third line. Here's the C. G. D. Now here's the next verse we'll sing on. But when he calls me, I will be able to meet my family at God's table. I'll meet my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. No more an orphan girl. Here we go through the chords again. G, D, G, C. And now down to the third line. D and G. Last verse. Blessed Savior, make me willing and walk beside me until I'm with them. Be my mother, my father, my sister, single strum. So that's a good example of a song sheet in which I have not managed, and this is something I could correct, I have not managed to quite space my chords out correctly for you to be strumming the same amount of time for each one. This is something I can work on. But also, you're going to see chord sheets like this, so it's actually a nice thing to practice as well. It's harder to play a song like this if you haven't heard it before, because you may not know whether you're going to have 2 down, down, ups or 4 down, down, ups or something like that for each chord. Obviously, I could make some corrections to this, but also it's much easier, just so you know, when you're approaching a song sheet like this that may not specify how many suggested strum patterns per chord, or indeed any strum pattern at all. There are many chord sheets out there that will have no suggested strum pattern. You may have to sort of do some intuition, figuring out how you play the song based on your own knowledge of it. And if it's not a song you know, you may need to listen to it first. All right, let's go back to the table of contents and let people request if you have one, or else I'll pick one if you don't. Let's see. I'm going to change the style a little bit. Let's look at a song that's new to this songbook that's not in my mixed level songbook, which is Edelweiss. Many people know this one from The Sound of Music. It's also one that sounds like an old folk song, but was actually created for The Sound of Music. Oh, great. Nick has suggested Ripple. Thanks for chatting over on YouTube. We'll do Ripple next. That's a great idea. So Edelweiss does have a few extra chords, but I still consider these fairly beginner friendly. And if they're not chords that you can do, they're great chords to learn next if these are not already in your sort of chord corral as a beginner player. We've already played the C, the G, I can't remember, did we do a D yet? But most of these chords are the ones that we learn right away when we're starting to play ukulele. There's that D7 in there, which is a bar chord. For many people, that's the first bar chord they learn, and there is a simpler version people call the Hawaiian D7 that you can play basically with the same shape as shown there for the E minor 7, except it's on your G and E string instead of on your C and A string. So you could play that. It won't sound as pretty as with the high note on top. Obviously, there are songs in which the Hawaiian or alternate D7 sounds just as nice, but in this particular song, it's nice to have that high note. But if you can't bar yet, don't worry about it. Just play the E minor 7 shape, but walk it to your G and E string instead. And similarly with the D, I know some people who are first starting out are just getting used to D, and you may be playing it stacked, or you may be trying to play it with 2 fingers. There's lots of different ways people try to play the D. I find the stacked version, index, middle, ring on your G, C, E strings, most comfortable for me, but it may vary depending on your finger size and your instrument size. If you're having trouble with any of these chords, I would suggest just trying to do a single strum on that chord and not worrying about fitting into a particular pattern. You could single strum this song all the way through and it would still sound just as nice. So, so let's go ahead and do a simple suggestion from Cynthia here. This is one of her early ukulele chord charts. And she has suggested a pick, down, down. Now, if you've never done a pluck with your strum, this is a great way to practice because it's very easy. You're just going to pluck your G string. And again, if you have high G, it'll sound lovely as well. Pluck that on your first beat, and then 2, 3. Because this song is in 6/8, so there's going to be 6 pulses per measure, but we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or if you don't like the plucking, just strum it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I'm on the G chord. 1, 2, 3. That'll also sound lovely. I'm going to do the pick, but again, feel free to just strum 3 times if that's the level you're at. So before we do the intro, let's just all get in the same tempo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We'll do one of those and then we'll start singing. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. All right. And one of the cool things that you can start to think about, especially if you're a beginner player and you're not thinking about this yet, is how you move from one chord to the next. The chord you're going to may affect how you play the chord, for example, or the chord you've come from. In the bridge there, when we did that second line of the bridge, bloom and grow forever, I thought, oh, I have my fingers stacked for the D. Instead of trying to switch to a barred D7 where I lay my whole index finger down, I'm just going to stick my pinky out and put that final note onto my D for my D7, which, you know, some of us don't have pinkies that are strong enough to do that, but it's a great thing to start working on if you don't. And so sometimes it may make more sense for you to bar the D7 and sometimes to use your stacked shape and then add a pinky to it. So those are the kinds of things. Also, I noticed when we were going from G to E minor 7 in the verse, or at the second line of the song, that you really just lift one finger to go from the G to the E minor 7. I lift my ring finger and I'm at E minor 7, so you don't have to move your fingers a lot. And it's nice to think about those sorts of economy of movement sort of things when we're, you know, I mean, not even just when we're first starting out, but certainly when you're first figuring out how to play chords fast enough to keep in time with the song, really give that a thought as well. All right. So let's see, we were going to do ripple next, that's right. And then I'll take another request if there is one. I always say this in my mixed level jams, so people may be sick of me saying this, but I actually learned this song as a Jane's Addiction cover, not the Grateful Dead original. So it's kind of fun to know that this song can be played in a variety of styles. Again, we're going to approach this as beginners might approach it. And for this one, I'm going to suggest that we try the island strum. If you are not an island strummer yet, maybe, in fact, it'd be nice if anybody's in the chat, either on Zoom or on YouTube, and is really a like days beginner or is only playing, you know, very, very simple patterns and hasn't gotten to island strum yet, feel free to let me know. But let's try the island strum for this one. This is that classic, also again, as it says here, called calypso strum, down, down, up, down, up. You can be used for any 4/4 song, although it doesn't always sound right with the style of the song, but you can usually get by with the island strum if you need to, and you can swing it more or less depending on how you're singing or playing the song or what your group is doing. So this one will work throughout, and again, if you're a more advanced player, feel free to play around with some of the other suggestions on this sheet. So I'm on the G now, and we're just going to go from this tempo. 1, 2, 3. If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? one may follow. That path is far, your steps alone. Ripple and still water, where there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow. You who choose to lead must follow. But if you fall alone. You should stand. Then who's to guide you? If I knew the way, I would take you home. Here's instrumental verse to end. We're on the G, and you can la la la, la la la, C, la, la la, la la, la la la, la G, la 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 la, la la la, C, la, back to G here, la 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 la, D, here's the la 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 la. Oh, great suggestion. Thank you very much. All right. I see another request over in the YouTube, and then let's see here, we've got also a request in our Zoom jam as well. So we're going to do me and Julio, and we're going to also do These Boots Are Made for Walking. Great ideas. Let's go ahead and do, I'm going in the alphabet in the direction of these boots. So let's do that one first, and then we'll do me and Julio. So here's one that might look a little scary to some people who are brand new beginners if you are not into doing picking and plucking riffs as part of your singing, or your playing rather. But I would encourage you to try this one because it is very, very simple. It's about the most beginner-friendly sort of riff I've seen included in a song. And you're going to be on your C string, and what those numbers mean, that's a way of writing tab out. It doesn't show you the rhythm, so you kind of have to know the song when it's written out like this, but it's going to show you the frets you're going to be on that string. So you're on the C string, you're going to go all the way up to your 9, and if most instruments will have a dot, some have them on 3, usually you have a dot on 5, on 7, and on 10. That may make it faster to find your 9th fret. There's mine. And we're going to back our way down the string, and you can use whatever fingering works for you. You could use your index finger to play each of those and just move your finger down. You could try something fancier and start out on your 4th finger and then go down and then switch your hand. Whatever makes it most, accessible for you. We won't do it super fast, but it'll work like this. You'll start on 9. Oops, I'm not on 9. 9. You're going to play each of these notes twice until you get to the very end of this run. So it'll work like this. 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, open, and then we'll hit the A chord. So, not very many chords in this song. You can play that Hawaiian or alternate D7 shape that I've got printed here, or you can play the higher one. Actually sounds cool in this song as well. But I'm going to try that riff each time, and I encourage you to play along, especially because we're in a format where no one's going to be able to hear you if you make a mistake. You'll only hear my mistakes. So you're golden to try this one out, and it will repeat throughout the song, so you have a bunch of chances to get it as well. So let's see here. We're going to play the rest of the song in an island strum. And for those of you who are not quite beginners, who are a little further along, go ahead and throw a chuck in there if you like to. It's a fun one to play with a chucking island strum. All right. So let's see. A tempo for this one, so it's not too fast. 1 and 2, and here we go. And. Our strumming might be a little slower than you're used to hearing this song, but this will make it more accessible when we get back to that picking part again. 1, 2, here's the verse. You keep saying you've got something for me, something you can't love but confess. lesson where you shouldn't have been a message. And now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking, that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you. If you have to skip that last A to put your fingers in place for the plucking, you are free to do that as well. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you ought to not bet. You keep saving when you ought to be changing. Now what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you. I might have gone a little faster. It's hard not to do with this song. Here's the next part. You keep playing where you shouldn't be playing. And you keep thinking that you'll never get burnt. I just found me a brand new box of matches. And what do you know, you ain't had time to learn. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you. Final strum. There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's go do Me and Julio. So this is another Cynthia Lynn arrangement that I really like. It has a slightly more complicated opening, and so I don't expect you necessarily to be playing that if you're at a very basic beginner level. I will still play it for the people who are playing along, but I want to encourage you just to hit the points where the chords change if you're more of a beginner. So let me talk about how this part works. In order to sort of replicate as closely as possible the Simon and Garfunkel original of this, Cynthia has created a kind of interesting little strumming pattern at the beginning here, which she has noted both in terms of the chords and how she would strum them. And we'll do it very slowly here. Here's how it sounds. Down, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up. And then that gets repeated. So that sounds like the opening a little bit to Me and Julio. So just to take that piece by piece, we've just got a simple down, down, up on the first chord, which is what we've been doing in several other songs today, so that's not too bad. Then we have a single down for that C, and this is the tricky switch, and if you find this too fast, then you can also just skip the C and you'll be okay. You know, you can get to that later when your skill level is there, but you will just do it once. So it'll go down, down, up, C. 1, 2, and 3. And then, oh, I guess there's actually 2. You get 2 downs here. But if you're a beginner, I would recommend just playing the 1. You're going to go to the G on an up strum, which is different from what we do in a lot of songs. To switch on the up strum gives it kind of like a sort of funkier feel to it. So you're going to do the C as a down, down, and then switch to your G on the up. So it'll go down, down, up, C, down, G. And then she has you do another up after that, which is tricky. Up, down, up. And then you go to your D. Down, down, up. I would encourage you, though, not to think, how am I strumming this, but just to think the rhythm in your head. And if you need to just hit the beats where it changes, this would be the simplified version I would do. Down, 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 down. G, C, G, D. That second G comes faster, but you could just hit those all on downs and you'd sound fine. You'd sound fine if you're playing alone. You'd also sound fine if you're playing in the group that was playing the rest of the strumming pattern. And you'll see that will come up again at the end of the chorus. Or you could do the whole thing. But don't get too worried if you can't play that all in rhythm. I would just hit the beats if that's the case. You'll also see a couple of places, because we're playing island strum in most of this, a couple of places in the chorus where there are brackets around two chords. Cynthia does that to show a split measure where the chord change happens faster. And her suggestion here is that we go back to that down, down, up that we've used in those other songs. So, for example, I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. For the G to A7, you do down, down, up, and then you switch to A7, down, down, up. So that happens there. It also happens on the next line, Goodbye to Rosie, C, F for the Queen of Corona. And then you've got some single strums, which is what she means by the sideways slash. I use that, or the forward slash. I use that as well in my chord charts. So you've got some of those as well. So chord-wise, this song doesn't have anything new. We haven't played any of the other ones, but it does have that one section that's, the rhythm is a little bit different, and if you find that off-putting again, you can skip it entirely or just play single strums on those chords. The other thing about this song is because Cynthia has helpfully put it in the key that is easiest for beginners to play, it's not great for my vocal range. So if you can sing this perfectly in your range, that's awesome, and I know there are people with voices this will be the perfect range for them. But if you hear me struggling a little bit, going lower or higher, that's why. Because this is a great one for beginners to play, not so easy for me to sing. All right, so let's see here. We'll start out kind of slower on the intro so that you can sort of get a feel for it, and we'll turn it around several times before we start the verse, at least 4 and maybe more if we need to. So here's how it will go. G, C, up, up, down, D, down, up. And you can just do this. Let's do it again. C, up, D. One more after this, and then we'll start the song. Mama Pajama rolled out of bed and she ran to the police station. I don't want to speed it up too much. When the papa found out, he began to shout, and he started the investigation. Single hit, it's against the law. It was against the law. What the mama saw, it was against the law. Okay, same thing for the second verse. Mama looked down and spit on the ground every time my name gets mentioned. Papa said, "Oi, if I get that boy, stick him in the house of detention." Well, I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. Goodbye to Rosie, the Queen of Corona. Seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard, just like the intro up. Seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Play the chorus again. Sorry, I strummed that wrong. Up, up, down, up, down. Hold this last G. Whoa, in a couple of days they come take me away, but the press let the story leak. Now when the radical priests come to get me released, it's all on the cover of Newsweek. One more chorus. Well, I'm on my way. I'm going, I'm on my way. Taking my time, but I don't know where. Goodbye to Raho, see the Queen of Corona. Seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Up, seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. G, C, G. Last line, seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. All right. If you want to work on that one more, you can come back to this recording, or I believe Cynthia has a full-length lesson for this one on YouTube that's totally free and available to the public. So you can also learn it from Cynthia in her full-length lesson as well. It's a really great one to work on. All right. More requests, anybody? We have about 15 minutes left, so time for a couple more songs. Or any questions? Yes, go ahead, Rick.
Maybe Come Away With Me?
That's a great idea. Let's do that one. This will be another nice one. You know, we did that other one with the optional pluck on the strum. Come Away With Me also has one of those. This is another Cynthia Lynn arrangement that you can make very simple again, or you can use that little pluck strum that we did on the other song, or it's similar. It's not exactly the same. So the way that Come Away With Me, which I believe is actually written by someone else, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and Nora Jones made it famous, but I think that she was even covering it when she recorded it. This song is lovely though, and it's when it's in sort of that 3/4 waltz time, not sort of, it is in 3/4 time. And so in order to have the sort of 3 pulses, you can do down, 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 up as your strum. 1, 2, 3, and I'm on the C chord. 3 and 1, 2, 3 and then Cynthia has given us an option of pick, down, down, up, pluck. You're just plucking that G string, which is very nice too, and not that much harder. So if you want to try the pluck, feel free. Maybe I will start out just by strumming the first 2 verses, just the down, 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 up, and then I'll do the plucking for verse, you know, from the bridge to the end, so that you can try both if you want, or if you're doing one or the other, at least you'll have me doing that on part of it with you. And at the very end of this song, to end it, we have a little tiny, almost arpeggio happening on the last word, Come Away With Me. Cynthia, when she numbers for picking, is not numbering the strings. She's numbering the fingers. So by 1, 2, 3, she means your thumb on G, that's 1, your index on C, that's 2, your middle on E, that's 3. Of course, if you're a more advanced player, you want to play it a different way, you can. But just so you know, she's numbering the fingers, not the strings, which would be the other way around. So, and if you don't know what that meant, that's okay. You're going to pluck your G, C, A strings, and then play the C chord as your final moment. So you might as well hold your your C chord while you're playing me, even though you won't play that top note until you get to the end of it. There's your little arpeggio moment there. Let's see, anything else I want to mention about this one? You do have the E minor in this again, and if that's a tricky chord for you, I would think about moving one finger first, and I would probably plant my index on the A string, 2nd fret, and then stair step the rest of my fingers down to fill in the rest of my E minor on the 3rd and 4th frets, just as a way to move between those 2 chords. All right, let's try this one out. Again, I'll play the strumming, and then I'll play the beginning, and I'll move to the option with the pick on the bridge. Let's do about this tempo. Here's the intro. 1, 2, 3. Here's the verse. Come away with me in the night. Come away with me and I will ride leave off that last up if you're having trouble fitting it in. Come away where they can't tempt us with their lies. And I want to walk with you on a cloudy day in fields where the yellow grass grows knee-high. So won't you try to come away with me and kiss on a mountain top. Come away with me and I'll never stop loving you. And I want to wake up with the rain falling on a tin roof while I'm safe there in your arms. So all I ask is for you to come away with me in the night. Come away with me. All right. I'm going to check the tuning on my instrument there. I feel like I'm slipping out of tune a little bit as we play. Not a bad thing to do in the middle of a jam. Oh yeah, I got a little sharp. Sorry, Nora Jones. All right, just a little sharp here. I see several more requests, which is great. Thank you very much for making some requests. If we don't have time to get to all these today, and you're able to join us on the 23rd, which is a Saturday, and it's at a different time, but it's more friendly to the Eastern time zone because I'm trying to sort of vary my timing to see what works for different people and how I can kind of include the most people. But we're going to do this again on the 23rd. I'm looking at my calendar to make sure I'm saying the right date. Yes, the 23rd from 6 to 7 Eastern, which I know is probably a little late for most of the people at London time zone. But we can play more of these songs then, and then my goal is to keep doing this on a monthly basis, both timing sort of to, again, include the most people. So let's go ahead to the next request I see, which is Simon requesting Save Your Tears. We're hitting all my favorite Cynthia Lynn arrangements today, which is fun. And Save Your Tears is one that I did in my mixed level jam on Tuesday, because I also do mixed level jams on Zoom on 2 Tuesdays a month, which you can see on my website, New York, or on my Patreon page in public posts as well. So this song will not necessarily look like a beginner song right away, but is beginner approachable. Again, in part just because at whatever level you are, you could just play single strums on the chords and you'd be okay, especially in a group. But also I want to encourage people to play a little bit above their level, so there's great things to work on in this if you were a beginner as well. John says it's not my uke that's out of tune, it's my voice. Well, I have those moments as well, so I can understand you on that one. So for this song, we're going to do a couple of things, and I will tell you how you can adapt this if it's outside of your reach at this time. We're going to play a strum that goes down, up, or if you're a chucking person, down, up, chuck up. And that'll be a fun little element. If you're not a chucker yet, though, just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up is going to work just as well. Maybe I'll start the song out that way and then throw the chuck in later so you can see both versions. We're also going to do a little tiny bit of picking, and if you don't like the picking, you can just strum right through it on that same strum. The picking again is going to go G, C, E, A. She's written it here 1, 2, 3, 4. And for example, there you see at the top of the chorus, it says pick for the first 2 chords. Save your tears for another day. And then she has us going back to the strumming. So if you can't do picking to strumming that quickly, you can just strum the whole thing and not even worry about the picking at all. Other than that, this song is really straightforward with pretty beginner-friendly chords. There is that E minor, but that's a great one to be practicing. And there are some single down strums, but otherwise You've just got those two, a strum and a pick, and you could strum the whole thing if you need to. So, oh, if you're looking at the chord shapes up above, you might notice Cynthia has given us a different way to play the G. That's completely optional. I would encourage you as a beginner to play whatever shape is easiest for you. But if this intrigues you, to bar the top three strings of your uke, the C, E, A, and then put your middle finger down next to that. Cynthia suggested people might like to do this because it's an interesting way to get from the E minor to the G, just to lay that index finger down on top of your strings. But if that is confusing or finger twisting to you, save that to practice another time. It's just an alternate shape. You can just play your regular G shape and it'll work just as well. All right, so I will start out with the non-chucking strum, and then maybe somewhere in the second verse or the pre-chorus that's in the middle of the page, I'll switch over to chucking. All right, so let's take this one, not too fast, but at a kind of a little bit peppier pace. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Here's the verse. I saw you dancing in a crowded room. You look so happy when I'm not with you. Then you saw me, caught you by surprise. A single teardrop falling from your eyes. I don't know why I run away. Ooh, I'll make you cry when I run away. Cause I wanna stay. Save your tears for another. Save your tears for another day. Same thing on the next line. Save your tears for another day. Under a Pisces moon, I kept my distance cause I know that you don't like when I'm with nobody else. I couldn't help it, I put you through hell. I don't know why I run away. Ooh, I'll make you cry when I run away. Ooh, take me back cause I wanna stay. Save your tears for another. I realize that I'm much too late, and you deserve someone better. Save your tears for another day. Save your tears for another day. Ooh, I don't know why I run away. Ooh, I'll make you cry when I run away. Ooh, back to the strum. Save your tears for another day. Ooh, save your tears for another day. Ooh, save your tears for another day. All right. You can play that one a lot faster when you're feeling up to it. And we do in the mixed level jam, we play it faster, but I think it's a great song. It's a fun one to practice. Thanks for requesting it, Simon. All right, so we've got a couple more suggestions. I don't think we'll get to all of them, but let's do Times They Are A-Changin. And then Nick, if we don't get a chance to do California Stars, then the next one you're at, remind me, and we'll make sure we get that one in. And if you're not able to join us and I remember, I will still do it, and then you'll be able to watch the replay. All right. So Times They Are A-Changin, we did this one in the mixed level jam 2. It's got a fairly simple strum pattern that we can do throughout the entire song. That is based on a recording I heard of Dylan doing this, and he does the same guitar strum the entire way through. He doesn't do anything fancy with it, so I thought it's good enough for Dylan, it's good enough for us. So that strum pattern will go like this, slightly different from what we've been doing on other songs. Down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, and 3, and 1. And there's some nonsense about suspended C sus4 on this page. You can just ignore if you're a beginner. If you know what that means and you'd like to throw in the suspended chord, you're welcome to, but we'll just skip that for today. And this is the chord we'll do. We're going to do a little faster than that, so we get the nice driving pace of this song from Dylan. So here's the intro with 4 of these. 3, 4. Come gather around, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming, or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changin'. Let's just pause for a second, because I forgot to warn the beginners among us about that little walk down happening on the second to last line of each verse. There's a G-based walk down that goes G, G7, then G6, which is the same shape as E minor, and all you have to do is lift your index finger from your G7, and you're already playing that shape. Or you can flip to your E minor 7 shape and then be in place just to lower a finger for the G. You're going to have to flip at some point, but you can flip when you want to flip. So if this is too hard for you because it does move a little faster, just play G all the way through the line. But you can do, yes, there will be a replay recording. I see that note here. As soon as this is over, in fact, you'll be able to watch it. And then as quickly as I can, I'll get up some timestamps for people who want to jump to specific songs. So, so we'll see you at the next one live, but you're welcome to rewatch it whenever you need to. And thanks for joining us even for the last song. It's great. So again, you can play G all the way through this line, but it's going to sound even cooler if you're able to hit at least a few of these. And if there's only 2 you can hit, that's also great. But we're going to go G, G7, G6, back to G each time. So with that said, let's continue with the rest of the song. And I apologize for not warning you that was coming. All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, here we go. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are a-changin'. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changin'. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. The old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't land ahead, for the times they are waiting. I'm the first one, now will later be last, for the times they are a-changin'. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. This is such a fun experiment for me to do, and it's so much fun to see a few people joining in both on YouTube and on Zoom. I'm so grateful to my patrons, especially, who make this possible for me to do, so thank you. And to people who are watching the replay later, thanks for tuning in. If you are a brand new beginner, I hope you know that if you go to YouTube and you click on the gear icon underneath the video, you can slow it down as slow as you would like to go. Painfully slow even. So feel free to slow it down if you're practicing it later, and I hope I'll see you at another one. I've got all the details both on my website, New York, as well as on my Patreon feed for anyone, not just patrons, to access the information and the dates. So just have a great rest of your day, whether this was your lunch break or your breakfast or your evening time. I really appreciate you being here, and I just thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.